Another issue top of mind for investors is the U.S. election, and voting is underway in the first Republican primary in New Hampshire. Bloomberg's Kailey Leinz is in Manchester and joins me now. Kailey, give us some color from on the ground.
Well, Shonali, it really is going to be about turnout today, as this is just two people competing really in this Republican primary, Nikki Haley and former President Donald Trump. The state election officials here, including Secretary of State David Scanlon, who joined us here at Bloomberg yesterday, have suggested we could see record turnout today. He suggested north of 320,000. And frankly, high turnout is what Nikki Haley might need to actually have a chance at getting close to Trump or beating him here in the Granite State. She, of course, has said this is her best chance to do that, given this is a state that is heavily populated by independent, undeclared voters who could potentially break for her. But polling leading up to today suggests that it's going to be very difficult for her to actually pull off. Suffolk University and the Boston Globe have a tracking poll running each and every day. Their poll this morning showed Trump is 22 points ahead of her with 60% support, and voters for him are much more enthusiastic than they are for her. So that could mean that they are the ones that are more likely to be turning out and going to the polls today.
Do you have a sense, Kailey, of how her campaign is preparing for this event and the outcomes of it?
Well, they have put a lot of effort here into the Granite State, more so perhaps than in Iowa, where, of course, she last week came in third. Americans for Prosperity Action, a super PAC backed by the Koch industry, essentially, or the Koch political machine, if you will, has been out knocking on doors, hundreds of thousands of them here in New Hampshire, trying to galvanize support and get people to actually vote in this primary. The question is going to be the fate of her campaign moving forward if she does not win here. Nikki Haley herself and surrogates like Governor Chris Sununu here in New Hampshire, who has been one of her biggest and most vocal supporters, have said all she needs is a strong second. That then it's therefore going to South Carolina, her home state, for the primary on February 24th and on to Super Tuesday. The campaign certainly has the resources. It's just going to be a question of whether or not, if she can't put up a strong enough showing here, she feels that there is a path for her to actually defeat Trump for the Republican nomination. Again, she's the last one standing here. Ron DeSantis, of course, dropped out earlier this week. Vivek Ramaswamy and Asa Hutchinson dropped out after Iowa. The field has gotten narrower and narrower until today. We're at just two candidates, and we'll see if we're still at two candidates come tomorrow.
Exactly. Speaking of coming tomorrow, what would it mean for Trump to have such a back-to-back victory moment in these two primaries leading into South Carolina?
Well, what the Trump campaign will tell you it means, Shonali, is that his pathway to the nomination is clear, in that the general election effectively will start at that point. That it's going to be Trump versus Biden, a rematch of 2020 that polls suggest voters don't actually want, and that may very well be what we get. Again, this is just two contests in, though, to your exact point. Only Iowa and New Hampshire winning both certainly would provide a lot of momentum to the former president, but that is not typically at the point where we have a candidate. At least we get to Super Tuesday, where there's 16 states in the game. And on that, I would just point to a campaign memo that Haley's campaign sent out today. They said, you know, everybody calm down. We're staying in this race. They ended the note by saying, see y'all in South Carolina, essentially indicating that they will be moving on to that primary no matter what. But the campaign manager pointed out in that memo that 11 of the 16 states on Super Tuesday have open primaries, meaning Democrats could actually turn out and vote for Haley, even if she can't get enough support within the Republican Party itself. And that's what she's essentially betting on here in New Hampshire. Not that Democrats will show up for her, but undeclared voters may break for her. We're just going to have to see. Polls close about 7.5 hours from now.